Hey friends, welcome back to the podcast. I want to talk with you today about some very easy swaps that you can make in your kitchen to create a healthier environment in your home. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Special Kind of Motherhood podcast. This podcast is for moms who are parenting differently abled children. Maybe you desire to switch to a more natural lifestyle to improve your family's health, but you have no idea where to start. You're longing for more routines and time, but every time you try to implement those tips that you've spent hours researching, you realize that they don't work for your family dynamics. Hi, I'm Ashley. In this podcast, we will focus on implementing routines, switching to a more natural lifestyle, and uprooting those old mindsets that are keeping you stuck, so that you can plant yourself firmly in the truth that Jesus offers you. Our focus will be on creating small, customizable changes that will build upon one another over time to create real impact in your life. If you want to hear from a mama who has been raising several children with special needs and who knows how important it is to do this in a way that's sustainable and that doesn't add to your overwhelm, then this is the podcast for you. Pop in those earbuds, reheat that coffee for the third time, and let's go. Okay, if I know you, then you are looking to create a more holistic lifestyle. You're looking to clean up the environment in your home, but a lot of times it can feel very overwhelming. We can have a lot of conflicting information and can feel extremely confusing. And a lot of times that leaves us paralyzed and unsure of what to do. And so I just want to offer you 3 easy swaps that I think you could make. Honestly, depending on how you do this, you could make it very affordably. And it's going to help you to feel better about knowing that you're moving in the right direction to clean up the environment in your home and what it is that you're offering your family. So we're going to focus today on the kitchen. And I just want to say with several of these, this can honestly be expensive at times unless you can be thrifty. And so several of these we have actually found at thrift stores or at garage sales. And I just want to say, don't let the idea that it might be expensive stop you, because if you can get thrifty with it, if you can look at thrift stores or garage sales or things like that, you can absolutely make these swaps without spending a ton of money. And I'll kind of touch on that a little bit more with some specific things, because I think that sometimes we can just get so overwhelmed with thinking that it has to be perfect, and then that stops us from doing anything at all. And I just want to encourage you, even if it's not exactly what you would think it should be, just keep moving forward and just keep trying. Just keep pushing towards better until you get to that best and until you get to that place that you actually want to be. Okay, so for cooking, I would say if you could switch out from nonstick pots and pans to things like cast iron or stainless steel, that's extremely beneficial. People have said, there have been things against Teflon. People have said that it's safe now. Honestly, it's very hard to tell. And for me, it's one of those things like I've talked about with food dye. Why introduce it? Why have it in your home if it's not necessary? If there are other alternatives that you could use that you can get affordably, you can find stainless steel pots and pans at thrift stores. You can find cast iron oftentimes at yard sales or thrift stores. Really, cast iron is not that expensive. We have got cast iron pots and pans at Walmart for not very much at all. And so it's absolutely something that you could swap these things out over time. I'm not saying throw everything away today, but as you're able to, or as you come across stuff, begin to swap those things out for things like stainless steel and cast iron. We prefer the cast iron for cooking, like if we're going to, grill up or saute anything like that, then that's what we prefer that for. And then if I'm going to boil water for pasta or something like that, I absolutely prefer the stainless steel. I also prefer it for things like soup and things like that. And what I want to say with this, it's kind of what I touched on a minute ago, is, I have looked before, because with stainless steel, some people will say, well, you need to look at where it's sourced from. And I totally get that. And so a lot of times if you are going to a thrift store, if that's all you can afford, then you might not be able to know exactly where it's made. Is it genuine stainless steel? And I totally get that. But what I want to say is just, like I mentioned, it doesn't have to be perfect. If you're at least moving forward, if that's what you can afford right now, then get the stainless steel pot from the thrift store, get rid of the non-stick pan, and just keep moving forward. And then eventually, if you're able to get something that's better quality, then great, continue to do that. But just making that step, that small step in the right direction, it's so beneficial and it's so powerful. So don't let yourself get hung up on the fact that it might not be exactly perfect the first time you do it. Just focus on the fact that you are making better choices for your family. And I think that that can go a long way, especially over time. And that's what I have found to be true for me, is giving myself the grace to know that it doesn't have to be perfect, but we're still moving forward and we're still making progress, and I'm still seeing results for my family. And that's what matters. That's really, at the end of the day, my family being able to thrive and to live life to the fullest is my goal. And so being stressed out about stainless steel pots is not in alignment with that goal. And I just have to do the best I can with what I have at the moment. So sorry to go off on that little side note. It's just something that I feel very strongly about, and that I just want to offer you the ability to just relax and give yourself grace and just know that you're doing the best you can and just move forward with what you can do. So another option I think is great for baking would be stoneware. And I do get my stoneware from Pampered Chef. It is a bit of an investment, but I've had my stoneware for, at least over a decade. And it's still amazing. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It works great. So it's one of those things. Occasionally I will see stoneware elsewhere, like at thrift stores and things like that, but not very often. Certainly not as often as I see things like cast iron or stainless steel pots and pans. But it would be a great option to replace your baking so that you're not using the nonstick and those types of things. And the bad thing with the nonstick is it's very difficult to keep it from scratching and then flaking off, and then it's flaking off into your food. And at that point, it just becomes very questionable to me. It's just not something I feel comfortable with. And again, when I can make that easy swap, I would just prefer to do that. The other final thing that I would say would be to use glass instead of plastic whenever it's possible. And again, this can be the thing. I will look for glass stuff like glass 9x13 pans at thrift stores. I have just stocked up on them when they've gone on sale around the holidays, different things like that. And I have tried, we do still have some plastic storage in our home. It's not something we use very often, but we do have some of it. I do try, like if we have leftovers, I tend to try to store them in glass. We do have glass storage containers with lids, and that's my preference, but I do have a few plastic things, and it is what it is. I do avoid, if at all possible, heating anything plastic in the microwave, just because it is going to leach into your food, and that's something I would prefer to avoid. And so I think, yes, if you can just slowly start to switch out your plastic containers for glass. And then I also have stainless steel mixing bowls, and I love those as well. They're very good quality. They've held up for a long time. The thing about all of this stuff is that it is better quality, and yes, you are going to make a little bit of an investment up front unless you happen to find a good deal somewhere. But it's going to last you so much longer than all of this other stuff, because plastic, it gets stained from the food, from the pasta sauce, and it just gets gross, and then you have to throw it out. The same with the stainless steel stuff. The bottom begins, like the finish begins to come off, and then it's chipping off into your food. And so that doesn't happen with these other things. It just will last you so much longer. And so for me, while yes, I may have to spend a little bit of money up front, I just consider it an investment into cooking good quality food for my family, because I know that these things will last a lot longer than the alternatives. And I'm not having to question whether or not it is or is not healthy for my family. And so I think if you can just make that effort to slowly switch out the plastics that you use in your home for things like glass or stainless steel, that's extremely helpful. It's an easy way to do it slowly over time. And then obviously, if you do still have plastic, just avoiding heating plastic in the microwave. Put it into a glass container instead to heat it up. Or what I like to do is actually reheat things in the air fryer. I will still occasionally use the microwave if I'm in a hurry, but for the most part, my preference, we have an air fryer that also has a dehydrator in it and a roaster and a bunch of other stuff. And I love that because it's dual purpose, but I can also use it to reheat our food. And honestly, the quality of the food tends to be better anyways whenever I reheat it in the air fryer. So yeah, just to recap, if you can switch out your nonstick for cast iron or stainless steel pots and pans, if you could switch out any kind of nonstick pan or baking sheet or anything like that for something like stoneware, that would be amazing as well. And then switching out your plastics for glass in your home. And I think that those are great first steps. They're things, like I said, you can build on over time. And it's just going to help you to have that peace of knowing you are making the best choices for your family and their health. I would also love to hear from you. Is there anything else that you would add to this list of just very easy, quick swaps that you can make in your kitchen? I actually just thought of another quick swap, but I will actually leave that for another time. So anyways, yes, feel free to reach out to me. I will have everything linked below in the show notes. You can contact me through email, or you can message me on social media and just share with me if there's anything else that you would add to this list of quick and easy swaps for your kitchen, and I will see you guys back next time. Hey, before you go, if you found value in today's episode or you learned something new, would you take a minute to share with someone else that you know would be blessed by it? I would also love it if you would leave me a review. This lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and I love hearing from you. You can connect with me further over on Facebook or Instagram. Until next time, rejoice in hope, be patient in tribulation, and be constantly in prayer. Romans 12:12.